Over the years, there have been many board games that production companies have tried to inspire ideas from and turn into a movie or television series. These include Monopoly, Catan, and many more. Some of these ideas go through, like in the case of Battleship. Well, there's talk of another recent yet famous board game potentially being turned into a movie, Terraforming Mars. Let's take a look at what's going on. First off, let's see what the game is about and how it could potentially be turned into an on-screen adaptation. The plot of the game is set in the 2400s, when humanity begins to terraform the planet Mars, which basically means making the planet habitable. Giant corporations, funded by the world government, launch massive projects to increase the temperature, oxygen level, and ocean coverage until the atmosphere is habitable. In Terraforming Mars, you take on the role of one of these corporations and collaborate on the terraforming process while competing for the best work, with victory points awarded not only for your contribution to the terraforming, but also for developing human infrastructure throughout solar systems and other laudable achievements. The original board game is widely regarded as a great example of larger strategy-based games, and the concept of the game is one that's relevant to social issues for today, and the world it's set in is not far from the scientific technologies and advancements we have now. There are many directions an on-screen adaptation of the film could take. The possibilities are endless, from focusing on one person's life in this universe to a whole group of people to the history of how civilization reached that point. Added with a well-written storyline, interesting characters, and a good soundtrack, we can see why this game has been optioned for film. Moving on, let's see why this board game deserves to become a film adaptation. Not every day do we see a board game being optioned for film. It must have a good storyline, have good audience reception, and be famous in pop culture. Luckily for fans, Terraforming Mars checks all the boxes. Earlier, we discussed how the game provides a great narrative to build a story, but it's also risen to prominence. In the 8 years, it has released 5 expansions, 2 in 2017, 2 in 2018, and 1 in 2019. With fans devoted to the strategic game, the creators of the game have shown that the game still has multiple narratives to explore, proving that the storyline it could be adapted to has the potential to constantly grow and evolve. All the reason it should be a story on screen. But that's not all. The board game also got its own spin-off in 2018, when it was revamped in a video game version by Asmodee Digital. Not only was it received well by audiences, but it was also well received by critics and video game sites like Strategy Gamer. The game also made an appearance recently on the big screen. A scene in 2022's Moonlight shows a family sitting on Mars playing the game. It's clear that Cobalt Knight chose the right board game to make a film out of. Next up, what is Cobalt Knight, and how much do we know about the production company that optioned the game? According to Deadline, the game has been optioned by production company Cobalt Knight. Christopher Kaminsky and Christopher Knox co-founded the company to create TV and film project adaptations of various genre material like different video games, manga, board games, comics, novels, and short stories. Besides that, one of its co-founders has extensive experience in the video game industry. Christopher Kaminsky was Sega's creative director,
Sega,
and worked on Sonic the Hedgehog and Armored Core 4. And he also contributed to the release of Valkyria Chronicles in English. On the other hand, Christopher Knox, the second founder, has some TV production experience, including MTV's The Real World, and working as an assistant director on 2011's I Faked My Own Death. Perfect team. So, we know if any production company can make a good adaptation of a game, be it a video game or board game, it'll be them. Especially because making a movie out of just a board game can be quite a difficult task, and really does require the expertise of not just someone with film and TV experience, but one with experience in the gaming industry. Moving on, let's see what the production company has to say about the potential film. Both co-founders Knox and Kaminsky have commented on their vision of the board game's possible film adaptation. They plan to set the tone of the film and what parts of this universe they want to expand in their adaptation. In a recent interview with Deadline, Kaminsky said that the world in which Terraforming Mars is set in offers incredible storytelling potential. He added that the company is very excited to explore even more complex themes regarding the storyline, like the unique drama that naturally comes up when running a company tasked with creating oceans, building prospering cities, and balancing the planet's ecology with plant and animal life. Knox also added his point of view. He said that the game shows strong parallels to the Age of Discovery, when many European superpowers sailed across the world, trying to lay their claim to anything and everything they touched. He said this made the game a perfect choice for an on-screen adaptation, using distinct and hyper-realistic settings to revisit a familiar conflict in the narrative. So, we know that the film will offer an array of possibilities and nuanced narratives. Next up, let's see what the game's developers have to say about their creation being optioned and potentially adapted on screen. The game must mean a lot to the people who created it, considering how much effort is put into creating such a tricky game, and the fact that the game itself has created a name in pop culture. Co-developer of the iconic science fiction game and CEO, Enoch Frixelius, was asked in a recent interview with The Deadline what his thoughts were. Turns out he was looking forward to it. He said that Jacob and the brothers had invested many years in the board game, and explained that it's more than just another sci-fi board game. It's actually a vision of a possible and positive future for all of humanity, and that it's not so far down the road. Frixelius added that this could be us in about 200 years. He added that they're all very excited to see that vision come to life on screen, and hope this adaptation will expand the Terraforming Mars community further. He ended his statement by saying that the creators hope that now more people will hopefully be gripped by the vision of a new home for humanity on Mars. Moving on, let's see what's been said about the adaptation and what are the updates. The creative directors at Cobalt Knight were considering turning the project into a series at first, but it now appears that they're considering turning it into a feature film. But unfortunately, the only official release was the statement of optioning the film. There's yet to be any word on when production will start. Plus, companies must take many other big steps before production can go forward. In the past, many games have been talked about or optioned for film adaptations, including big names like Monopoly and Catan, but the production never progressed. Luckily for the fans, Terraforming Mars has a great chance of progressing, considering the experience of those involved and the hype created by the board game's developers. And finally, let's see what fans of the board game have to say about its potential film adaptation. Fans of the game are polarized by the idea of their favorite game being adapted on screen. Some fans favor the idea and are quite excited about it. They've expressed on social media and blogs how they hope the film will turn out. Many want to see how themes of existential tropes, such as class conflict, colonization, and ecological collapse will be explored, considering their relevance in today's political world and scientific advancements. Other fans are not so open to the idea. Many took to sites like Reddit and articles, saying that the movie would never progress like when other board games were optioned and never developed on screen. Some fans say that the beauty of a board game is that people make up their own stories, and already providing a narrative defeats the purpose. Others have criticized, saying that the movie adaptation of Battlefield wasn't good, so this won't be either. On the flip side, some fans are so excited that they've straight up suggested what they want to see in the adaptation. Some suggest a Game of Thrones theme, with corporations instead of houses, and some hope it will stay true to the video game adaptation and be composed completely of stock footage. We're excited to see what comes next for the movie and how it will be. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of a movie adaptation of the game? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.